Scott, thank you so much for this. We want to get an inside look at the workings of Fort Stewart, and especially in an emergency like this. We turn now to retired Lieutenant Colonel Scott Hunter. He was with the 3rd ID for a number of years. And Lieutenant Colonel Hunter, just sort of to start, when an emergency like this happens, you know, there's protocols in place, I'm sure, but a lot of that goes out the window until you find out what's happening, I would assume.
Yeah, exactly. You know, what's going to happen is that the unit and the chain of command is going to make sure that the families and the soldiers are taken care of. In order to soldier, you gotta know that you're cared for, and I know that they're going to look after those soldiers and look after those families and make sure that they're well taken care of.
Lieutenant Colonel, I just want to ask you about this situation as it unfolded at Fort Stewart this morning. Active shooter there just before 11 o'clock, and the Brigadier General John Lubis, the commanding general of the 3rd ID, has given us clear confirmation of the person responsible, an active duty soldier by the name of Cornelius Radford. And the soldiers, his fellow soldiers, in a building with him this morning, and they tackle him after the shooting occurred and subdued him. In a situation like this, from the video that we've seen, there was quite a quietness. It appeared to be a mess hall. We're not 100% sure, but these soldiers are trained and prepared for situations like this, correct?
Well, yeah. So soldiers are going to take care of soldiers, and soldiers are going to do what they need to do in order to make sure that the unit is safe. And so, yes, I'm sure that they took the necessary procedures and matters at hand to ensure that the situation was under control.
And Colonel Hunter, the general, was talking about the fact that this was a personal weapon that this gentleman brought in, that he was able to get through there. I know the weapons policy. Talk to me a little bit about the weapons policy at Fort Stewart, and maybe you're surprised that someone could get a personal weapon through the secure process?
Well, it was my experience when I was on active duty for a number of years that the firearms, personally owned firearms, would have to be secured in secure facilities. So not even allowed inside the residencies of soldiers on post.
Was it easy to get a personal weapon through? Would you believe that it would be simple to do something like that?
I would not venture to do that. I know that anytime you come through the gate, you are subject to be searched. So I would not venture to do it.
Lieutenant Colonel Hunter, before we wrap up with you, I'm just curious about the next step in a situation like this as this investigation proceeds.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question, please?
Yes, what would the investigation as it continues now, what would the next step be? We know that Cornelius Radford is in military custody at this time. We do know that the soldiers are in stable condition.
Yeah, so I think at this point, the chain of command is going to work with the Criminal Investigation Division to make sure that all of the necessary pieces of the investigation is done to standard. And then I'm sure that you're now going to be looking toward chaplains and all of the support agencies to come together to support the soldiers of the unit and also the families.
Well, and you commanded soldiers right there. Real quick, what would be your sense, how hard that's going to be for that entire brigade and especially the people that were around there to get through it? And what would you have to tell those kind of people if they were under your command?
I would tell them to make sure that, if you are struggling, you need help, then to, speak about it, talk about it, and get the help that you need.
All right, retired Lieutenant Colonel Scott Hunter, we certainly thank you for your time this evening, giving us insight on what has been an unfortunate situation at Fort Stewart today. Thank you very much for your time, and do know that we certainly appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, and I'm very sorry. And my sympathies go out to all of those impacted today.